Fear is not real. Many people fear delivering a well-crafted message to candidates when recruiting, not because of reality, but due to the thoughts of what could happen. What if we could get rid of that fear? Good morning. My name is Dan Harten, and I'm here to talk to you about how you can get even better at reaching out to candidates with confidence, clarity, and credibility. You're probably asking yourself, how can a marketing person talk about a recruiting subject like drip campaigns? And I'll tell you, before taking this role, I was in the recruiting industry for more than a decade. I started out in agency. I transitioned and built sourcing teams at scale at AWS. And then the most recent role I had for a couple of years, I was at Meta on the executive search team. Some of these tips that I'm going to share today, I use at all companies, agency, big tech, corporate, and they were pretty extremely successful. Since leaving Meta, I transitioned my career into leading the customer marketing team here at Hire Easy. It was a no-brainer when the opportunity was presented because I was such a fan of the product when I was recruiting at Meta and Amazon. When everybody utilized only LinkedIn, Hire Easy or Hire Tool at the time gave me opportunities and a multi-channel approach to approach candidates. This made me a really good recruiter. As I transitioned to Hire Easy and the marketing team, I realized that there were so many similarities within recruiting and marketing. And some of those things are consistent engagement. In marketing, we keep potential customers engaged with our marketing materials. In recruiting, we keep candidates engaged for filling jobs. Number two, personalization. In marketing, we tailor messages based on customer behavior, preferences, and purchase history. While in recruiting, we tailor messages based on candidate behavior, skills, career interests, past interview performance, efficiency. In marketing, we automate repeatable tasks, freeing up time for strategic planning. While in recruiting, we automate reach outs, allowing recruiters to actually focus on personal interactions. With technology, with AI, and being more and more involved, we need to step back, look, and make sure that we're spending all that time that we have with the candidates. We're a people business, and we need to make sure that we keep that a people business. Segmentation. In marketing, we use segmentation to send relevant content to specific customer needs. In recruiting, we use that same thing to target specific candidates for your relevant jobs and openings. And last but not least, timing. In marketing, we send messages at optimal times to increase open and response rates. Just like in recruiting, we send outreach at times when candidates are most likely to engage. Now, you're probably thinking, Dan, why are there flowers in this slide? A couple weeks back, it was Mother's Day, and my kids wanted to do something really special for my wife. So I loaded up all the kids into the van, and we decided to go to the flower shop to pick out some flowers. As the kids rushed into the store, smiling, giggling, smelling, and observing the beautiful flowers, I looked over to my left, and my daughter picked out a dozen carnations that were on sale. Then I looked to the right, and think about this. I have 5 kiddos, and they're running around the store. Across the room, I saw each of my sons holding 1 rose each. I looked at the price tags, and the dozen carnations were the same price as 1 rose. Curious, I asked the florist what the difference was. She explained the scent of a carnation doesn't last long, It's sweet for a moment, but has no longevity. On the other hand, a rose is known for its ongoing scent. Even when you think it's dead, it can be crushed and turned into fragrant potpourri. In that moment, I realized that recruiting marketing and drip campaigns, if done right, can be effective and have longevity throughout the recruiting process, instead of just being a short, sweet message that lacks staying power. So, in this presentation, we will go over some key tips on how to create an effective multiple channel recruiting drip campaign to help fill recs faster. So, why is the drip campaigns and why do we use it in recruiting? Well, the definition drip campaigns are automated sets of emails or messages sent on a scheduled based on users' actions or timelines. It's been around for a while. Over the last decade of being in recruiting, you may have heard of mail merges, and mail merges typically turns into spam if not done right. But the reason why people use drip campaigns, and it's getting more and more relevant in our day and age of recruiting with AI, is it keeps candidates engaged over time without manual follow-up. The personalization that you can do with tailored messages based on candidate behavior and interaction gets more engagement. Efficiency, it saves time and resources by automating those repetitive tasks. So us as recruiters can spend more time with the candidates like it should be. And regular communication ensures your company stays on candidates' radar because timing is everything within recruiting. But what are some pitfalls of drip campaigns? Just like with anything, relying too heavily on automation can make messages feel impersonal. If you are not taking the time to research your target audience, that's where it fails. Poor segmentation can cause irrelevant information to candidates that can lead to disengagement. If you're not scheduling it with a purpose and just blasting out messages, that's where spam comes in. With how easy it is to message candidates these days, spamming will always be a part of the overall issue if not done correctly. So slow down and keep the candidate first if you are going to utilize a drip campaign. Whenever I look at a specific topic, I always look at the who, why, what, when, how. The first thing is who. Let's talk about subject lines, personalization, and simplification. Steer clear from terms of symbolism and words that will trigger spam in the subject lines. Create those subject lines that contain less than 10 words or 20 characters. Make everything about the candidate and do not rely on just AI for this. Double check your work and craft your messages within your drip campaign that's personalized to the candidate. You need to do your research on the front end and use the data that you have to craft those messages. Utilize interview notes, past conversations, social posts, who they follow in your campaign. Think about why would they read your message amongst the other 100 messages they receive. I have this snapshot. Obviously, this is within Hire Easy, but it gives you all the resources from Dan L, where he's working, his email, his phone number, his LinkedIn, his GitHub, his Twitter. If you do a Google search, you click that. If he's on the open web in any sort of shape or form, you have information in order to gather. In order to do it correctly and send them a right message at the right time, utilize the data that's at your fingertips. You need to personalize subject lines with tokens. This makes it easy. First name, last name, reason for the reach out. Company, title, reason for the reach out. Other strategies for subject lines appeal to the values. Do you want to lead a team into the future? Appeal to curiosity. Are you looking to make an impact in AI? Use powerful verbs and subject lines. AI can help you utilize this strategy. And then be creative. One of the best responses in subject lines that I've ever received was quick yes or no. And then I wrote the message. And then use flattery. We need you. We want you. And be more of the court your candidates versus just spam and spray. I'll move this. Sorry about that. All right, the what? The what and the why. Message content, length, value proposition. Here are by the numbers. Personalized messaging sees 73% response rate versus 37 response rate that was not personalized. Again, AI can help you with this. Personalize your message, but slow down, use all the information on your resume and their social links to craft those personalized connections. Talk about opportunities, not roles or positions. 87% of millennials say career growth or professional development is important to them. So stop talking about your specific role or your specific position that you have to fill. Talk about opportunities for the candidate, and you're going to get a better response rate. Send mobile-friendly emails. Did you know that 46 to 52% of emails get read on mobile devices? So before you craft a message, before you do a drip campaign, test it on your mobile device. Is it readable? Is the main things that you need to convey to a candidate readable and easy to read on your mobile device? Some of the best practices is find out the pain points of the candidates that you are targeting and create that value proposition with your hiring managers and mention that through your campaign. Your goal as a recruiter is to get the candidate to talk to the decision maker as quickly and as often as possible. I learned this really quickly in the last 6 months of marketing. Marketing's sole purpose is to get those candidates to the sales team as quickly and as often as possible. Using that mindset as a recruiter, you're going to see some success. The one thing that I would do is research trends on companies that you're targeting or candidates that you're targeting. Where do they work? And what are the pain points that you're trying to solve for them? I'll give you an example. If I came up to you randomly and said, hey, do you want a Band-Aid? You're going to look at me like, what are you talking about? But if I switched it up and I came to you and said, hey, you're bleeding on your arm. I got a Band-Aid. Do you want a Band-Aid? You're going to be like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw you ran across that, hit that wall, and then you started bleeding. Here's a Band-Aid. Figure out what are the pain points. What are the things that they don't like about that job? And anybody and everybody's going to send it on a Reddit board or a LinkedIn or a Facebook group and talk about their pain points. And then understand why that is and personalize that message into your reach outs. Share employment branding content, hyperlinks to pages, blogs, videos. Again, with a multiple channel approach, utilize all the information at your disposal and really make it a well-crafted message within that. All right, the win. Multiple channel messaging increases that response rate and fosters a long-term nurture sourcing strategy mindset. In my research, the best spacing in between messages is if you send the first message, then wait 5 days, send a second message, then wait 6 days, then you wait another 6 days, and then you send them the fourth message. Make sure you show value on that second and third outreach in different ways. Like I mentioned, utilize the resources from your marketing team or any brand team that can really increase and convey the message of what culture your company has and why they should work for you. Be strategic on those send times and days that you send those messages and understand The end user is different based on the job title, job level that they're in. By the numbers, the average candidate receives 121 emails a day. More than 50% of prospects see emails within the first 15 hours of send time. Monday and Tuesdays are the best time to send messages overall, but it depends on the role. The industry average in a drip campaign, the percentages increase. So it goes email 1 is 14% reply rate, email 2 is 24% reply rate, email 3 is 29 reply rate, and email 4 is 32% reply rate. It differs between specific job titles, like I said, and know who your target audience is. For example, if it's an engineering manager, that's going to be different than a marketing manager. For example, engineering managers average open rate is 72%. That's really high, right? But when are they opening it? Email sent Sundays at noon perform 9% better. Email sent Sundays at 8 p.m. perform 7% better. When they don't open it is Mondays at 7 a.m. Well, why is that the case? Typically, they're probably driving into work or they have meetings that day. Understand who is on the other end of the message. All right, how do I execute this? And a big question is, well, I need to scale this process. How do I scale it, but still keep that personalization? Using segmentation based on the information your hiring manager stated in the intake, you can bulk the common traits on a profile and use tokens to personalize the message. So if it's a company that they've worked for, skill set, titles, alumni groups, who they follow on LinkedIn, all of those things that you're gathering from that intake call, craft a search directed towards those common themes. So for example, if a hiring manager said, I like engineering candidates from Purdue that worked at Google, my search is software engineers that work at Google that went to Purdue. In my messaging to the 150 candidates that are in that framework, I utilize the subject line of saying Purdue Boilermakers. In the content in the message, I talk about they all went to Google. They all attended Purdue University. But I scaled out that message to 125 candidates because they had a common theme and a common interest out of all those candidates that I am targeting. This could work in alumni groups. They could do former employees. What I used to do is I would work with our data team, and I would download all the interviews that happened 2 years ago. I figured out who candidates I could reach out to, who would they be best fit. And my messaging would say, I saw that you interviewed 2 years ago. Today, May 28th. I saw your interview notes and I would love to have a conversation and see if you're interested in having further conversations about opportunities. I would send that message out to 200 people because all those individuals interviewed on May 28th, 2 years ago. The response rate was a lot higher because I used segmentation on a specific characteristic for that section. What I would do is experiment with subject lines and the marketing content that you're utilizing. Do your research and utilize all the information before you create a campaign. Show value consistently and make sure the messaging is all about the candidate, not you filling a role. The last thing, because AI has really been involved in all of our lives the last 18 months. And there's some people out there that are going to utilize AI and drip campaigns. And you're going to be reading these messages coming through and you're going to say, hey, I know this is an AI robot that just sent me a message. I'm not going to respond to you. So how do you overcome that and getting a response rate, but also utilizing AI? And the best results that I've seen was incorporating another human being or multiple human beings in your drip campaign. For example, if I sent a candidate a message, I incorporate my hiring manager within that drip campaign, CCing him or her, or attaching the LinkedIn profile and said, we've reviewed your message or your resume, your profile. Mr. Manager wants to have a chat with you. It's an incorporating another human being within your campaign messaging. The response rate is extremely high if you utilize that strategy. Like I said, our goal as recruiters and sourcers is to get those candidates in front of the hiring manager and have as many conversation with the hiring manager as often as possible. So how do I start? Especially with junior recruiters thinking of, oh, I have to reach out to all these candidates. How do I stay track with all these individuals? I have so many recs going. How I coach individuals when I was at Amazon is start small. Hold yourself or your recruiter accountable to 25 new reach outs a day to candidates. Use the template below. So, for example, day 1 through 5, every single day, I'm working on a rec and I contact 25 new candidates for the role. At the end of the week, I have 125 reach outs for that rec. The second week, day 8, I would do 25 new reach outs a day. In addition, I would figure out who hasn't responded on day 1, and I would send them that message, a second follow-up. So by the end of that week, you have 250 messages out. Now, week 3, day 15, again, 25 new reach outs a day, plus your day 1, plus your day 8, a second reach out and a third reach out. By the end of that week, you have a total reach out of 375 because it's compounding the reach outs to that specific individual. Again, don't always just use email. Use text messaging, use a LinkedIn profile, InMail, a connection request. All of these different channels, utilize that. So, for example, here's kind of a 5-step process. Step 1, review the candidate's LinkedIn profile. Maybe it's in your intake conversation with your hiring manager or an update meeting. If you look at somebody's profile, typically they can see, oh, Dan Harten looked at my profile. They should get a notification, or if they look at their LinkedIn, seeing who's reviewed them. That's one step. Then send them an email to the candidate, letting them know that you and the hiring manager reviewed their LinkedIn profile, their resume, their profile, their GitHub profile, etc. Step 2, if no response, follow up with them with a LinkedIn email or a connection request that refers to the email that you sent. Step 3, if there hasn't been a response again, the hiring manager or somebody on the team sends a follow-up email asking if the candidate received the recruiter's message. Step 4, send the candidate a text message referring about the previous messages. And then step 5, if still no response, send them a final email acknowledging that the timing might not be right for them, but expressing a desire to stay in touch with them for follow-up, relationship building for future roles. And you're probably like, some people on the call right now probably is like, well, Dan, this is all well and good, but I'm not working right now. I don't need to utilize this. Well, use the same strategy when you're job searching. Again, research and target the companies that you want to work for. Utilize websites like crunchbase.com, apollo.io to understand the companies that you really want to work for and all the information about those companies. Again, we're recruiters and sourcers by trade. Utilize those skills and equipping yourself with the information to be able to conduct a drip campaign for your specific job search. Then what I would do is create a list of 25 companies and start building out that strategy. If you don't have access to different platforms, like a LinkedIn recruiter seat, Hire Easy, all those different things because you're not currently working right now. One of the best things that you can do is listen to Chris Carver on how he creates Boolean searches. But for example, you can do a site search on Google. For example, I did site.linkedin.com, head of marketing, Hire Easy. And what pulled up was Shannon Pritchett. All of her information, her Twitter, her LinkedIn, all of those different things are on the web. So then what I would do is I would craft a compelling message stating why you're interested in working for that company and have a multiple channel approach like we went over to get in front of those hiring managers. Send them an email introducing yourself, send them a resume, then try to connect with them on LinkedIn. If that doesn't work, try to find their contact information. Use multiple channel approach to be a hunter in your job search. As I wrap up, this wouldn't be possible without the community in itself. We're all in this together. And the recruiting community has gone through significant changes within the last 18 months to 2 years. And what I really want to say is, as we draw this presentation to a close, let's reflect on the symbolism of the carnation and the rose once more. Like the carnation, some of us may have experienced fleeting moments of success, followed by a sense of stagnation or even decline. Yet it's important to remember that careers, much like the rose, possesses a resilience that endures beyond apparent setbacks. Even when we feel like our career has hit a dead end, it's actually in the process of transforming. Much like the rose, a fragrant potpourri from crushed petals. Recognize that your journey is ongoing and your setbacks are just steps towards enriched and fulfilling professional path. Let's continue to support one another as we embrace the power of our careers. And one way to do that is extend those relationships farther than a handshake, farther than a LinkedIn comment. Really get connected within the community and support each other through the good times and the bad. Thank you again for your support in all of this. It wouldn't be possible without your help and your encouragement and lifting people up in the time of need. Again, as we wrap up, the next one is August 20th through August 22nd, the Summer Showdown. It's going to be an amazing experience where we're bringing on a ton of different leaders, a ton of different presenters, and I'm super excited for this.